Hello, 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 and welcome to Ranch Roleplay's 1 year anniversary. All right. Today we got a whole big old treat for you guys, okay? We got the whole management, we got the whole package right here. Look at all these beautiful people we got here on camera right now, okay? All right, my name, if you don't know it, my name is Use Gaming. I play Rainier Falkoff, who is the mayor of Valentine. A lot of people obviously already know that. But I'm going to hand it over to Douglas right now, and he can introduce himself. He's a major part of this podcast.
Well, that's me. Those of you that know me as Douglas, who is at Emerald Ranch, and I barely leave the place, both in the literal sense, but also in every meaning of the word. And no, Yusuke and I, we got this idea, funnily enough, through a misunderstanding. Me and Goose, who's also at the ranch, were joking around making an IC podcast. And I told Yusuke about that idea. And he had already talked to Golden and got him on board until I realized that he had just announced an actual podcast. So in the most 2023 way, I got basically gaslighted into starting a podcast. But here we are. Here we are. And we're today going to do this thing that ended up being, your entire wonderful management staff, who I'm sure are more than capable of introducing themselves. So why don't we start with ladies first?
Hi, I'm Shally. I think most of you know me as Abigail Danes. And if you ever had to do anything at all with a business or a property, you've probably had to deal with me. So hello. That's it.
That's it. All right, cool. Let's go. Let's just go next one in line. Golden, come on.
Hello, I'm Golden. I am a developer and I play a criminal. There it is.
All right. Oh,
Yeah, that's me.
Hiya, I'm Hulk Hogan. I'm currently cosplaying as a British man running a server. That's pretty much it. I've been here since the dawn of Ranch, since it was an idea of us arguing in chat saying that a certain server was dog shit. And now we're here, a year later. Hello.
Cool. All right, Leo.
Hello. Hi, my name's Leo. I'm a Scottish man. I'm kind of the other half of Golden. I developed the server, been here from the beginning. Our roleplay is Lorenzo Gambino, who you can see smoking a fat cigar and causing trouble, taxing you too high. But yeah, nice to meet you all.
All right, cool. So I just want to go over the fact that we didn't go over what the whole purpose of this podcast and the future of the podcast is. So what we want to is just create a lot of transparency from all the way from the normal player all the way up to management, because there's obviously a lot of people out there sitting there going, what's going on? What does these people do? What does this do? What's this about then? But I think Douglas wants to go a little bit deeper into that just before we start off.
Yeah, I mean, it became like after playing around with ideas and stuff like that, basically just a way of us finding a format where we can, in a relaxed setting, just sit and talk about different topics that are relevant to Ranch RP, both in, IC and OOC settings, be that, how the REO works, how both in, in-game and out of it, how you can create a good criminal RP story, how the economy team works. And this way we, had more and more ideas to both have people on that are, staff people, but also like you said, all the way down to the community itself. We've also, had ideas with having people on who are brand new to RP at all, sharing some of their thoughts and stuff like that. So we're going to be doing this, and we're going to be doing it frequently. because every time there's been this kind of thing, it's been extremely popular and it's been very appreciated. But we want to keep that up so that everyone stays updated and the information keeps being there. And we have a way of interacting with all of you, and that's pretty much the idea. That's not how it started, but that's where it is now.
Yep. All right. But
Hell
now, onto the fun part. The fun part of all this, where we just get to sit here and basically just talk. I wanna ask you guys, like, and this goes out to all of you. Like, what's your past experiences with RP? Did all of you start here in Red M? Did you come from 5M, text based? Like, what's going on here?
Oh God, we're old. We're very old. I think all of us started 2012, or I think one of these guys is a little bit older than that. But we all started on San Andreas Roleplay. I'm sure everyone already kind of knows, because that's kind of what we base Ranch on, is like past servers that we played on that were good, and kind of things that we knew that worked. But I come from the SAMP side, and that's where I met these two as well. I met Golden role-playing a Hispanic teenager when I think that was like 2014. And then where I met Sparks, and otherwise known as Leo to the rest of you guys, in PD, where he was role-playing a Officer Brown. I'm not going to say the full name because his street cred will disappear. But yeah, we're quite old, to be fair. Like we come from SAMP, and then when GTA 5 launched, these guys dabbled in GTA 5 roleplay for a little bit, and then I kind of stayed on the SAMP train up until it pretty much died, and then switched over. And then I'll let these guys speak as well. Sorry, I've kind of taken over. But then we moved to Red M. I moved to Red M because of Aces. I'm sure a lot of you guys know who Aces is and roleplayed with him. And he was demanding that I come and join him on a Red M. Said I'd rather die than do roleplay again because I was so tapped out of it. And then here we are a year later talking to these guys.
Yeah, I mean, my story pretty much lines up, doesn't it? It's like we all met on SAMP back in 2012. But before that, it was like I played shit like Habbo Hotel, and that was like right. Hold on, I'm not going to say that's a roleplay game, but I mean,
it can be.
Yeah, it can be. So Habbo was the spot back in the day. But yeah, moved on to stuff like Gary's Mod in 2008. And it was stuff like Dark RP on Gary's Mod pretty early on. So I used to roleplay Dark RP. There was a thing called PERP, PERP. A few other things like Half-Life 2 RP. Moved to SAMP, done the whole SAMP thing for 10 years. And then, yeah, moved to GTA 5 and Red M. So it's been a while. It's been a long time.
Yeah, the old Gary's Mod sort of stuff is sort of what got me into coding as well, because it was so easy to do on there. I used to play Gary's Mod as well. But yeah, pretty similar story. We all went through San Andreas multiplayer as well.
What about you, Shally?
I'm actually a baby role player. I've only been role playing since 2020 when I had nothing else to do, and someone was like, "Hey, come play Conan," and then I did that for a little bit, and then I had a friend who was like, "This sucks. Let's go somewhere else," and so he dragged me to Red M, and I fell in love with the horses, and I have not looked back. Here I am.
I just want to go back to some Oaks. You said Ranch Roleplay is based off of places you've been before, and you took what worked from there. Like what are some of these things that worked? Like you say you brought something from other servers, other games. Like what worked?
So for us, it was primarily because, like, I'm not gonna sit here and shit talk the other servers that we played on Red M, but when we kind of came on to the Red M scene, we played like games and we played servers, and we found that like everything was just grindy and everything was just based on scripts, and it wasn't really related to the stories and like the role play that comes from it. So, like, where we come from, there wasn't any fancy scripts. I mean, the fanciest script was probably a weapon drop-off location, and that's probably it, or a phone that worked in San Andreas, which was awesome. But that's like as fancy as it got. So when we came to Red M, we saw that every other server has like everything, has like beekeeping, horse training, everything, and everyone's just focused on just getting the best possible thing. And we know from experience that's not what generates roleplay. Like, and I know it sounds really sad to kind of saying, what does create roleplay. But I confidently feel that, if you sat there role playing a story and you're role playing somebody on a day-to-day basis who has feelings, emotions, flaws, everything like that, that's kind of what makes character. That's what makes things enjoyable, and what makes you want to log in. So if you're logging in and your first thing on your mind is, I need to train my horse to max stats so I can evade law, like, that's the kind of mentality that we wanted to shift away from. And that's what the other servers that we come from, like, for example, when we came from LSRP, it was very much the same thing. It wasn't exactly script focused, it was roleplay focused. And it was, the day ins and day outs. And there were some awful kind of things on the servers that we played. But that's where we kind of grew together, me, Leo, and Golden, and we grew together and understood that, we could do this better. Like, we know what people want. We know what people wake up and want to role play. We know how to keep people engaged. And the main things that stuck, to answer the question, is just the whole idea of actually generating stories and actually generating role play, rather than I need to log in and play Red Dead Online version 2.
All right.
It's very similar to what we spoke about actually when we did this, because yes, one thing is that there are a lot of servers and they're all very different, and being able to create some of these things while having scripts but not 100% being reliant on those is, I mean, I could imagine it's something that you already plan out way before you even went into the decision of making your own thing. So what was how did you all plan to get that going? Getting that balance between those things without having to have too much content and basically let the role playing dictate.
Well, I mean, I'll let the other two answer this as well. But the main thing is all three of us were playing on a server. And some of the OG staff members as well that aren't around, like Scrap, and then Fade's back now, so I can't really say he's not around. But all the boys that our group, we all just got sick of it. Like, we'd wake up and we were just like either getting shafted left, right, and center by staff, or shafted by people whom didn't understand the rules, or you just wake up and it's just like, why are we even logging in? Like, we've got to grind this amount of this to do this. And eventually, I think we just turned around, and because I was the one who convinced Golden and Leo to come to Red M, because I'm not going to bullshit you, they were so adamant in not coming to Red M. But we were developing a GTA 5 server at the time, and basically just turned around and said, look, you need to give it a try. And eventually we did. And then after playing for so long, we just decided, we can do this better. Like, we can actually make a server that people want. And it wasn't so much like a decision, was it, boys? It was literally just a, fuck it, let's do it and see what happens. And that's kind of the mentality of what happens with everything in Ranch. Even to this day is, fuck it, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it was like, obviously we were playing on that server, having fun, doing our own stuff as just normal members. And then I think it was Golden that was maybe playing about with a few scripts, because as he mentioned, they had like Gmod experience, which, if you don't know, Gmod's programmed in Lua, and Lua uses the same, or Lua is the language for Red M. So like we were playing about the scripts, and then I think it was maybe over the course of a month, we were like, we could probably make something of this and take our previous experience and push it forward. So.
But what is his previous experience like? So I noticed the Golden set that what was it, Gary's mod got him into coding.
Yeah.
So did you not code before at all?
Yeah, we've both coded before. I think Leo works full time as a software engineer. He knows his stuff. But back in it must have been like 2012. I was on Gary's mod and I edited like another script. Like, I was just changing the values and seeing what would happen with it. And eventually I made like this army roleplay server, which was like kind of successful. Like, people were kind of like playing it. But I was like, I must have been like 14 years old or something. I don't know. Yeah, and then that's what kind of got me into coding.
Baby
But yeah,
Yeah, baby Golden just sitting there going like, all right, what happens if I put a value 1 here instead of a value 0? Let's go.
yeah. Well, you can. That's how you start. You can just edit another script and just change the values and see what happens with it.
All right. Well,
And that's I
fucking
would
great.
encourage that. That's how you should get started with coding.
Yeah, is that so? That's what you say if someone's sitting out there right now thinking, "Oh man, I want to get into coding so bad." You just start fucking changing values.
Yeah, download the script and start editing it, and then run it. See what happens.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah. All right. But what? So what? Like now we know a little bit how you got into Redem and how you got into coding. But I'm gonna put this on Shally right now because now the boys been talking a little bit now. What got you into gaming in general? Like I know you're a busy lady. Like how do you have enough hours in the day? And like how did you even get into gaming?
I've always been a wicked nerd. I mean, I'm older than everybody else here. But I've always been, I guess, a secret nerd. I think like a lot of people in my family probably wouldn't realize just how much I game. They get on my husband for all the gaming that he does, and I'm 3 times as bad as he is, though. But for me, I've always liked, I mean, reality sucks. Going to work every day and doing all the adulting stuff is shit. So I'd rather role play an adult somewhere else than be one here. But for Redem, for me, what really did it was just kind of the community. It tends to be a lot more focused on stories than some of the other places that I've been. And I'm also a massive reader. So I think I own about 6,000 books, and that's physical books, not.
Excuse me, what? What's this? Wait, hold on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, 6,000.
So I used to work as a freelance. I have, yes, at least once. But I used to work as a freelance editor, and so a lot of them I got for free for projects that I worked on. And at some point, you've pretty much read every type of book there is. And so when I got into role play, it was great because it's a choose your own adventure. Like there's somebody else. It's it's harder for me to predict where the story's going to go. So that's kind of why I got so addicted to it. And Redem specifically, one, it has horses, which I already said that I love horses. And the second aspect is that, and this is going to sound funny, but it's not so hyper focused on ERP, which is a really big selling point for me because it's everywhere else.
Well, yeah, we've still got the ERP update to come. Like we've got ERP animations coming in the radial menu.
But but it's not Conan where people are just walking around naked. So that was like a really big sticking point for me.
So read all
That's
these
why I also don't
books.
go to Valentine.
Read
Sorry,
all
guys,
these books. Did that like was it like that? No, it's in my head, I'm thinking, man, she must have read a lot of like fantasy books and like getting in. Like she wants to play all these different characters, or like is that what inspired you to get into RP? Because like gaming in itself, you
Mm-hmm.
play action games, single player games, but like RP is like very immersion. Like you got to get into your character, you got to become the character, and
Yeah. The thing is, I think I'm limited by the fact that I'm not a very good actress. I mean, people that have role played with me, I tend to be pretty much as I am now. I can't do all the fancy voices that everybody else can. I'm very jealous of all of you people that I can't recognize who you are, even if I meet all your alts. I am very, very jealous of that. But yes, it's really about the stories, and I love the interaction and seeing what people come up with. So even if I'm not actively in a scene, I just really love seeing where people go with their characters. There are some characters that I've interacted with very, very loosely, but seeing where they have evolved into is just really fantastic.
all right. Well, I love that. I love that. I'm so baffled by 6,000 books. To me, I've read all the Harry Potter.
Stop counting.
I've never
I
even
have a
seen
library
6,000 books.
downstairs.
I don't even think I can count to 6,000. What's going on here?
I didn't say all 6,000 were good books, but
Have you read them all?
all of them.
Jesus.
Wow.
Jesus,
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I used to commute into Boston. I used to take the commuter rail in, which is 2 hours one way. So I would finish a book each end because I also read very, very quickly.
Excuse
kind
me,
of-
what? How long was the commute again?
Yeah. 2 hours one way.
You finished a book in 2 hours.
Oh yeah, yeah. I would read about 3 books a day.
I read so slowly. I have to like hyper focus on the paragraphs.
Like a
I'm
third
so
grade level
obnoxious.
here.
Like I can read so fast, and people will be like, "All right," they'll test me because they're like, "You read the first sentence and the last sentence and call it a day," and they'll be like, "What happened in chapter 10?" And I'll tell them exactly what happened in chapter 10.
What's going on? Like, if you guys see like in the movies where they like flip through the pages, like, all right, that's it, I got it. That's
Yeah.
you, Shelly. You
That's
just-
I thought that was a
all right.
Hollywood.
That is my only claim to fame. It's the only talent I have. So
It's a big
That is
one
a
though.
talent.
Big one.
Yeah, it's a big one. You can learn
It's a big
anything you
talent.
want in
it
2
helps
hours.
out. It helps out in school, that's for sure.
Like, come on, it's not rocket science. Give me a second. Give me 2 hours. No, you're right. It's not rocket science. Okay, cool. All right.
That is
But-
impressive.
That is amazing. Holy moly! Like I'm struggling reading bedtime stories for my daughters. I'm like, did I just read that word? I go back and read it again.
I'm mean. I make my kids read them to me. That's when they were little.
Oh, okay.
In 2 hours.
Yeah. To our bedtime routine.
Yeah.
In regards to it was you that said Oaks, but I'm gonna ask Lau this question instead, because I assume a lot of these things that you had with these servers that you thought you could do better, whether it was the staff or the grind in general that you had to get in and do these things. When you all got together and before you actually made a decision, we want to start our own thing, what were other of the things that you like, this is what we're gonna do because this is not done well enough where we are now?
I mean, we trusted Oaks in dealing with the community side of things. So, how he wants the staff team to be, how he wants the sort of player side to be. Because as mentioned, he's been around since 2012. He's got the experience. So, at the beginning, we were like, "You handle that. Me and Golden will do the programming, and we'll kind of stay back from that kind of stuff." So, I mean, on my end, when we thought, what can we do better? It was really, number one, we don't buy any scripts. Everything has to be super custom. And whatever we do make needs to be better than what is offered. So me and Golden kind of kept by that for a long time. And it's only until recently that we've like accepted MLOs. Like we still won't accept scripts or anything. Yeah, it's
Why
what
is
can we
that?
do better? Why don't we accept scripts?
Yeah.
So there's a thing on the CFX ecosystem. It's essentially DRM. So if you buy scripts, it's locked behind essentially DRM. So you can't access the code. So say we go and buy a script for farming. If there's bugs in it, or if it doesn't fit in with our ecosystem, we can't change anything.
So
we
it's
can
like
maybe only
locked.
change.
The original code is
Yeah.
locked. Oh,
Yeah, totally locked away.
You can't change it or nothing. There could be anything in there as well, and you wouldn't know.
It could be like it
Yeah.
could be a backdoor as well. For all you
It could
know.
be anything, yeah.
Holy shit. Okay.
We just didn't like the idea of trusting another person to have the same sort of mindset that we do towards quality.
How do you like? I'm sorry, but just how do you trust Cal then? Like how isn't he?
Okay.
Or is he
I
Cal?
never said I did.
Cow.
I don't trust him.
Cow's amazing. Cow has access to our code, so Cow can
okay.
work directly with implementing systems. But yeah, it's really just a quality thing.
It wasn't always like that, was it? As well, like with Cal. Just to answer it was these boys were very very apprehensive with giving somebody access. And for those who don't know, like Leo is very much the security guy of the server. So any security updates or any back end kind of secure updates is Leo. So like when we were bringing on the third party developer, it was a case of, oh shit, right, what's going to happen? But I will, because I know a lot of people respect Cal as well, and I agree. He's fucking an incredible developer. Like he's got one of the nicest personalities ever. And he's just an outright great guy to kind of work with as well. So bringing him on board, it was a case of just giving him like the baby stuff, and eventually like he might graduate. And he's just flourished. Like he's fucking awesome. Like he's a really, really great developer. And he's one of those people that I genuinely think will be with us until we're all old and we're on Ranch version 73. Like he's just outright great.
Hey, look at all that love for Cal. I love it. Have you guys ever thought about what's it called? Is it called a non-disclosure?
NDA, non-disclosure agreement.
Yeah,
Have you ever-
we do have that.
Oh, you do have that. Okay, all right. So okay.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Well, that's good to know. So, but when it comes to motivation or inspiration, like where do you find what you want for Ranch? Do you as management sit down and talk? All right, we want this. How do we script this? How do we code this? Ask Leo Golden, or do you go into the community on the Discord and see what people have for ideas, and you go, hey, let's put this to vote. This sounds like a great idea. And like, where do you find the inspiration for the things you implement? Like, let's say when you made the new Telegram script or the courier, or like where do you get this from?
Yeah, I mean, it comes up the chain. So we have designated teams for, for legal factions, and it comes up that they'll let us know what needs changing, and that's how we get the ideas for it. But other times there is the suggestions on the website. We'll look through there for smaller things like quality of life stuff. We also play the server and we can see like what needs changing as well.
Yeah,
Right,
I mean,
so-
like what
yeah.
one thing that we were getting wrong was for a period of time. It was really just when me and Golden were programming. It was like we would look at stuff and be like, okay, yeah, this needs changed, and we would just do it. There wasn't really a clear path from a community member going up the chain through a sub team and then reaching, say, like management to then be pushed to me and Golden. It was like, yeah, that was our big issue. So me and Golden were programming stuff that there was no real discussion on.
It was very much a case of like we'd get told something, and we're all three of us are victims of this. Thankfully, we've got Charlie to keep us in check now. But all three of us were victims, and it was a case of like we'd see a big complaint, we'd hear the big complaint, we'd verify it with a couple of staff members to see if it was a genuine complaint, and then we go, yep, all right, something's broken, we need fixing it. And then, or yep, this is right, it needs implementing. And as I say, with Leo and Golden, it was very stressful for both of them too at the time as well, because they'd implement something thinking, yep, that's right, and then like 2 weeks later, it'd be like, yeah, we need to change it now. And it's just like it was just stressful for both of them almost.
Yeah, so when it comes to implementing new ideas like that, I noticed that I was under the impression that Old Oaks, he was always like, no, I never want Mexico. I don't want Mexico. And all of a sudden, from one, Gramps said that he woke up to 700 messages about Mexico. Like, is that because the community brought it up? Like, whoa.
Mexico's a touchy subject. I personally, and I'll still stand by it, but if the community wants it, like I'm not going to say no to our community, sorry. I think Mexico is it's one of those niche things, and it's just a novelty thing, I think personally. However, the rest of the guys, they all think it's a great idea. Like 90% of the staff team think it's a brilliant idea, so I'm not going to turn around and say no. But most of the time, the ideas come from the community themselves. The only time that they really come internally is just like little tweaks here and there. But it was just a case of, most ideas come from things in the community. Like if you look on the suggestions thing, for example, these guys really do check the suggestions, and a lot of things go from suggested to implemented. And a lot of people don't really realize that. And that's the best way to see what they're currently working on at the time. But yeah, like big updates and such like that, it used to. I'm not gonna cap either. Like it used to just be a case of people would bring it to me, and I'd be like, "Yeah, I don't know if that's the best idea," and then, that's a good idea, let's do it, and then I'd push it to these guys. But now we've kind of branched that out into the whole team aspect. So like the sub teams and such, if something big changes for the law, it should go to IFM and it should go to Benny and Bird, and then that eventually comes to management. rather than just Bird coming up to me and going, "Hey man, I really need a new lore update," and I go, "Yeah, let's do it." So it's a case of, before it used to be very much just like a one person decision. So it was either myself or it'd be Leo like say, "Yeah, we need this," or Golden say we need this, and it'd just be implemented. Now it's very much we go really more in depth with it rather than before. And that's why I say we've got Charlie to keep us in check, because Charlie is very much, she's going to hate me saying this, but the mother of us three now, I think. Because she knows when something is going to work, when something isn't. And, if generally the community like it, she's very much the voice of the community. So, yeah, I have to agree. Charlie's a short view. Oi! Sorry, hang on. Anyway, so yeah, in terms of implementing big things and such like that, just to answer the question, yeah, it's very much a community decision and then a staff decision, and then finally the management decision. But ideally, every decision should be the same. The only time we as management really say no is just a case of if it's going to absolutely break the server.
We have like a vision that we want to achieve, right?
Is that something you want to share a little bit of?
Yeah, so I mean,
yeah,
the vision's always been like, you want it to feel like you're in a movie when you're planning these scenes out, like, yeah, it's realistic, of course, but ultimately it should feel like you're in a movie if you're robbing a bank or whatever, it should be organic, and the story, like Charlie said, flows like you never know what's going to happen, but everyone should be on the same page and all providing role play, and it creates this really cool atmosphere.
Yeah,
And that's what I want.
Oh god, I'm sorry.
So just to go back, just real fast on, as most people know, Shally is the newest member of the management. She's been here about a month now. What was the decision? Not necessarily why like what made you go, we need Shally in here, we need her in management, like, or did you go, we need a fourth member in management, or did you go, we need Shally, we need her to keep us in check? Like what was the decision behind that? Like,
do you want the honest truth, or do you want to? Should we be the truthful, or should we do the community story?
No, we can be truthful. So we really needed someone that wasn't me, Golden Oaks, to bring the community together. Because we started to notice like there was a lot of tension between people in the community. There was a lot of distrust between regular members and staff. There was just a weird vibe. And originally we had if no one knows, we had 4 management members at the beginning. We had a guy called Thunderbear who came over with us. But then it went down to 3, and it was like, yeah, me and Golden are just programming all the time, and Oaks is in Australia. So like there was a real big gap between who can we get in that one shares the kind of same vision that we have and is like the crown of the community. So that's when it was like an obvious choice, really. But yeah, it was mainly.
It wasn't an easy one. Sorry, my latency's in the way.
Yeah, like when we were thinking about it, we're like all of the lead admins are like amazing, like every one of them. But yeah, it was just a thought: who can really merge the community back together, and release the tension that's been going on between some groups. And don't get me wrong, we've had tension before between like IFM and some factions, or LFM and some factions, and we've shuffled people about to kind of release that tension. But yeah, I think this was like a wider priority that we needed. And when we brought in Shally, we were like, okay, these are the priorities that need to happen, because we want everyone to get along. Like that's what everyone wants, is that everyone enjoys the game, role plays, as Golden said, like a movie. That's the kind of the vision of the server. And yeah, it was just a good choice, and it has been a really good choice. So
agreed.
Yeah, it was a hard I'd say it was a very hard decision at first, because as those who know me and know how stubborn I can be, and Charlie obviously knows how stubborn I can be. And like the main issue was because I was traveling from Australia. I went from like being on ranch from like 18. This is gonna sound really fucking nerdy, holy shit. But like 18 hours a day, making sure everybody was happy, making sure like every team was working. I was having meetings like coming out of my ass, really. And ultimately, like when I hit Australia, those 18 hours went from like to 20 minutes. Like it wasn't something that was really feasible. And the main thing was always a case of like we need someone who can really step up and kind of match me on that community engagement, but someone who's not really going to butt heads as well. And Charlie will tell you as well, like even if we like this kind of exposes the management team. Charlie knew that I was like against anybody joining. I always said, I was like, I can do this, but ultimately, like as soon as she came onto the team and she started helping me out with everything I did, instantly I was like, I fucking couldn't do this. Holy shit. Like she has come on board and just like, it's like a twin, honestly, like someone who has the same mentality as myself with all the community side. It is phenomenal. And I know you've only really been with us for a couple of weeks, Charlie, but you really have made like the job so much better. Like I can wake up and not have like 30,000 DMs of something breaking. Like it can be 30,000, like, it could be 20,000, but at the same time, it's like, yeah, me and Charlie can look at this together. And it's nice to have that because no disrespect to the boys, but they're so knee deep in code. Sometimes it's hard to get a hold of them. So having someone in the management team who's kind of like fighting with me, it's really good.
Thank you.
Well,
I'm very interested in that part. Oh, sorry, go on.
No, I was just gonna say to Shally, like, oh, what does that make you feel like? All that praise, but at the same time, you are a mother, a wife. Like you are like how many Red Bulls a day do you drink? I know you drink a lot of coffee. How do you find the time
Coffee is
to
life.
manage all this?
Wine.
Wine and coffee. Yeah.
Because you're a woman, I gotta say it. Like that. This is why. Like you're a mom. You can handle. As they said as well. You're the mom of the management now as well. You're a mom of the family as well. There's just something in the women genes, right? There's something that makes you capable of doing this. Because I couldn't even see myself doing that. That would be way too stressful for me.
See, I don't find it very stressful. I mean, it certainly can. I find the real estate stuff to be the most stressful because I think that's such a hot issue for a lot of people, and it's a very personal issue for a lot of people. But for the management stuff, what I really like about being able to work with the team is that you get to see a direct impact. So we can push forward a lot of these changes, and I get to, present feedback back to the management team that, like they said, that they're really in the weeds with the scripting, and I get to bring back everything that we hear about and that I, experience being in the server. And bring it back to them and say, okay, guys, I know that you're really excited about this hot thing that you want to do, but we desperately need this. And I think that adds a nice perspective to it. And it's just been really great to see kind of the foundations of what they're going for, and that I get to be a part of it. And also that now that I'm here, I get to see kind of what's going on cross-functionally across everything. And I like to step in and be able to help where I can. I'm hyper organized, so I think that kind of helps. I'll send them little lists with links to everything that they need to do. And
that's the dream.
I think
Golden's used to it
what
because I'm professional nag.
I think what works really well as well with Charlie is we obviously as three management, it's very privatized kind of like communications, like people I'm assuming, everybody has an opinion of each person, whether it's the management or each person in the management team themselves. So I think opening the door to somebody who joined our community and kind of rose into the community, under us for some time, to then be the door opened for her to see in there. I think it's good as well because Charlie's a very, very not opinionated in a bad way, but she will tell you how it is. And like the fact that, there's community eyes in the management team, she can really see that, we are trying like every time, every day. And, it kind of gives that, it lifts the veil, if that makes sense, by having someone who was in our community initially to then join the team.
You had we spoke a bit about the initial, the structure of the staff team and what you wanted when you were starting your own thing. And also, I think we also spoke about this in one of the previous community meetings about how, it goes through the channels and up to Lau, Golden, or you when you want to, get something changed. I'm curious about how, more specifically now, compared to the vision that you all had about how you wanted the structure of the staff team on Ranch Roleplay. What does that look like now?
I'll answer this one if it's okay with the other two, just because the staff team is primarily my jurisdiction in a way, and that's not to take anything away from the other two. It's just it's the thing I'm most involved in. And in terms of the other three, oh yeah, sorry, Charlie, Mike. Oh, sorry, mate. But no, in terms of like how it started out, it's very much the same, and I don't want to pat myself or anybody else who was involved in the staff creation team on the back, but it's pretty much been the same mentality from the start, right? So we always said, I always said, when we always went with different situations when we started, was every part of the server needs a team allocated to it, because like other servers, you see that management are the final decisions and they're the deciding factors. Now, I don't want to sound like a lazy bastard, but the last thing I want to do is dedicate like 20 hours a day deciding everything that goes on the server. I don't want to wake up and have to do different things. I don't want anybody else having to go through that stress. So by what we did is like lifting the veil behind the sub teams, and some of you guys know that we have individual sub teams, but I'm not sure the community knows how deep they go. Like, we go really quickly. We go from the major ones, which is your IFM, your LFM, and so forth. But then we've got a full economy team. We've got a full mapping team. We've got a full modding team. We've got illegal faction management. We've got an events team. We've got staff management teams. We've got a tester training team. We've got a trial admins. I could go on and on. Like, it does really go really deep. And the things behind that is because when we first started, it was a case of workload needs to be allocated so everybody can kind of do a little bit and crack on. Not somebody turns around and has to do everything. And that's one of the things that we did struggle with late last year, towards the end of the year, is obviously during the Christmas period, quite a lot of staff was on LOA due to Christmas. And it opened a lot of cracks to kind of like other people were taking on more workload. And Charlie will tell you, because she was one of the staff at the time, taking on a lot more workload than they should. So we always wanted the staff team to give a little, impact a lot. And that's very much a case of why we've got all the sub teams. And for those who don't know, when you join the staff team, you have to be a tester for a month, and then you can join a sub team. Once you hit a sub team, you impact the server as a whole, and that's really the mentality that we wanted. Is we wanted to give our players and our staff members the creative freedom to address the server, rather than we make all the decisions and it's our server or nothing. So in terms of the staff team, it was very much a case of the vision remains the same. It hasn't changed. It's a case of everybody does their own part. Everybody impacts their own little areas. And if there is a big problem, then that's where it comes to us for. But 9 times out of 10, it doesn't need to.
But when going back to like, so you obviously have this nice structure and vision about how the staff team was working. But like, is it because of like something happened on other servers, other communities, where you felt like this is the wrong way staff should not be handling things this way, it should have been done this way, and you go, all right, if I ever do my own community, I want to do it this way.
Yeah, and this is where I say that we take inspiration from places or other servers. Like, one of the main servers we came from, they had sub teams, but their sub teams were like literally 5, and this is where we realized that a lot of these things kind of just don't really work, because if you've got one person making all the decisions, ultimately you're going to end up with people who are disgruntled with that one person. And I will point out, like, just as an example, like, there's been various iterations of LFM. There's been various iterations of IFM since we launched, because those, unfortunately, are the most stressful teams, I'm afraid. But looking back, it's one of those things where we just go, yeah, something needs changing here. And it was very much a case of like, I was staff on another server, as you guys all know from Community Meeting 1. I was booted out of that staff team in Community Meeting 1. But we all know that like certain areas don't work, because if one person has ultimate dictator control against everything, ultimately it's their server or nothing. And nobody really wants to play on a server where that's the case. So by us making sure that, everything was spread out evenly and allowing the community and staff members to make the changes, ultimately it's what we started with our launch vision is it's for the players, for the community. We don't want people having their own things. We don't want things hidden away. So yeah, ultimately it was a combination of what we've experienced previously on other servers, either staffing them or playing on them, and ultimately what we knew worked. Because if you look at it from a business point of view, Ranch in itself is kind of a business thing if you want to highlight it that way. And ultimately, you don't have one guy making all the decisions. You have several teams, and that's kind of how we looked at it from a business kind of point of view.
I'm quite interested in because Yusuke and I, we spoke about earlier today, when we were talking about how you all went from this idea of how you wanted to start your own thing because you knew you could, we could do it better, gaining all this experience from previous servers and whatnot. And we were talking about what we might think that, the process from it becoming just a thought to it becoming an idea to it being something that you all talk about. And that whole process, and then all the way to when, the community started growing, and it started growing fast. And in that conversation, we noticed that a lot of people have been on the Discord for longer than the beta release, and specifically 2 people have been on the server for 4 years.
More than 4 years.
How?
Who, me? Me and Golden?
Yeah. Well, why?
So the server used to, as I said, me and Golden have done many projects before. We done like some stuff for GTA 5 on a platform called Rage MP, which is like the direct competitor to 5M. And we were in a really early stage in creating a server, and we made a Discord. And instead, we had all of the Discord channels set up. I mean, there was probably like 6 people in the Discord.
It was the minigame server, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was like
Yeah.
SMP, yeah.
Yeah, it's called Saints MP.
The PUBG server.
Yeah, it's like a PUBG server. Yeah, we had like 6 people in the Discord, and we're like, we already have the roles and channels set up. Let's just rebrand the Discord.
When did that happen?
Oh, that must have happened maybe February 22. Because I said we were on another Redem server, and the process of going from an idea to implementation, it was really just we were in a group chat and we were like, oh, should we do this? We were kind of playing about with ideas, and we already had this Discord set up, so we were like, okay, let's make the decision to actually go.
What about
for
the
it.
name? I want to know about the name. Like, what's it called?
No.
Ranch?
It was so hard to pick a name. You don't understand. It's so hard.
Like, come on, come on, get into it.
So
come on, Golden, tell us.
Oh, go on.
I mean, we had a bunch of different ideas. I can't, for the life of me, remember the names we had. Maybe the other guys will, but it was just like,
One was
what do we
Saints
think
Crossing.
of? Okay, well, but you have all these different, we was thinking, Wild West, like what's in the Wild West? Obviously, there's a bunch of ranches around, there's farms. Like, what is the average, quote unquote civilian doing like in this time, in this place? And probably going to be working at a ranch, and the ranches are like community hubs. That's where a lot of people go to work. And I don't know. I just thought it was fitting.
Yeah, I think it was me. It was me, Golden, Leo, Fade, Scrap, and Psy initially, and we were just spitballing, like to the point where some of the stuff was just so dumb. I'm gonna see if I can find the
Cowboy
chat,
RP.
actually, just
That's
because-
literally what in
Yeah,
the code.
like-
It's called
like-
Cowboy RP. Like my files says Cowboy RP. when I open
Really,
it.
cowboy?
Yeah.
Oh God,
I
that
guess
gotta be. Oh my God, that's so good.
I'm just gonna have a quick look now. But we had there was Saints Crossing. There was
I mean, there was like Frontier
what was
Roleplay
it?
was one of them. Well,
Frontier,
that's a-
yeah, Frontier, which is
That's
ironic.
now a
Yeah,
server.
like
yeah.
Cowboy Roleplay. We could not think of anything. Like realistically, we were just like trying to throw things out, and like we just sent. I think it was Golden who said Ranch RP, and I think me and Leia was just like, that just sounds a bit daft. Like I'm not really too keen on that. And then 20 minutes later, we could not decide a single name. Like we were just back and forth. And in the end, we just went, yeah, Golden sounds good. Let's just go with it. Fuck it, let's do it. And then that's it. So
Ranch
I
Roleplay.
I think one of our requirements was whatever we name the server, we can't code whatever that name means.
Yeah, which is perfect.
yeah, so
This
we're
is
not
what I
adding red script.
So when
And how
you
did
were-
it change to? How did it change to? It said you got that name around February 2022, and that team that you had, all the people that would slowly became part of the community before beta release. What did that process look like from February and up around start September, right before you were ready to release that? How did you get these
I think
people?
Yeah, new box.
I think I was going to sorry. I think because I remember the discussions that we had about the server quite vividly, and this is what I mean by Ranch is very lucky in kind of the decisions we make because, and for everybody who knows us, like us three kind of forming things, how stubborn we can be, but also how unorganized we can be. I think in February we eventually just said, "Oh yeah, just give it a go." And Golden was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to make a simple roleplay game mode, and just see if it works on Red M." And then eventually he worked. I think he worked on it for about 3 months, and then he showed us it, and we was like, "This is fucking awesome! Like this is really good. Like this is exactly what the kind of thing we want." And then eventually, I think eventually it fizzled out, didn't it? Like we didn't really speak on it for like a month or two. Or maybe I think it was a month. I don't think it was 2 months, but I think it was a month. And I think we was all playing other games. We weren't really invested in it. Like we'd left Red M and we were sick of like everything. And then one day Golden just come in and he was like, "Do you know what? I think I should start working on this again." And then he came up with like this cool little gun shop script. And I remember testing it and we were just like, "Yeah, this is fucking awesome." And this is I'm going to big Golden up here as well. Is in terms of like the stuff that goes through that man's brain. Is insane because one day he'll just be like off his box, just not knowing what the fuck he's doing, and then the next he's like, "Yeah, this is done, this is done, this is done, this is done," and that's very much how the process was. So from February until launch, it was literally just a should we? Nah. Should we? Maybe. Should we? Okay. Shit, we're actually doing this now.
So when you went into the launching and everything, like how soon did you guys realize and what happened? What went through your mind when you went, all right, we released this, and all of a sudden, boom, it just popped off. Like when did you guys realize, oh shit, this is real now? But this is not just some project where like with the community with a couple hundred people. Like all of a sudden, this is popping off.
I think it's the first time when we was above Gold Rush in numbers. Because obviously that's the server that we come from. I'm not going to hide it. Everybody else is kind of the same. The first time we saw that we was above Gold Rush in numbers, and we saw that we was above Wild County in numbers, we saw that we was above Sin. We just went, holy fuck, what? Like, is this actually happening? And I remember all three of us were just in the management chat that we had. We just turned around and we just went, fuck, this is actually a real thing now. Like, we actually have to start, putting effort into this. And it went from a simple idea of like, oh, let's just see what the people think. Well, the people think like they thought it was amazing. Like they thought it was the best thing since sliced bread. Like all the discussions we had, all the communications we had, all the script updates, it just hit off. Like it was just insane. And like I say this in every community meeting, but it's still the community that kind of holds us strong. We never thought that this would have been possible. We always thought like we'd have been a 30-player server, 50-player server, and people would just been like just chilling out, and they just play whenever they feel like it. And then the next thing we know, we're on 260 players, and we're just like, fuck, like now I've got to deal with all this, and now I've got to deal with all this. And I think for me personally, as soon as we saw the numbers were consistent, was when we went, shit, we actually have to do this now. And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was you, Golden, who kind of like knuckled down straight away. You was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm just going to focus on this, and kind of stepped away from your main. I remember some chats, we'd be in a call and Golden would be like, just a minute, lads, and he'd be working at the same time whilst working on Ranch. So like we were just stupidly dedicated from the get-go. Like I was answering calls in my call center, Golden's doing this, and Leo's like, all right, I'm in the middle of uni doing some coding. Like we were just all over it. Like that's when we saw that we were high numbers.
Yeah, we were
Yeah,
also
that's what
talking
I'm
about that
hoping.
whole thing with both of you, I assume, about doing this like full time. Lau and Golden, that is.
So I don't think. Oh yeah, these two. I think the main problem with going full time for any of us is it's kind of situational, really. Like because no disrespect to kind of, it can be draining sometimes. And without sounding rude, no amount of kind of like full time hours and stuff can really like pain your mental, I think. So like as you guys well know, is Golden kind of puts everything into it and fucking crushes it. Leo does the same and is in university, and then myself, balancing jobs. All of us kind of Ranch is Ranch, but if we went full time, I feel like either we'd burn out really quickly, or we just make wrong decisions. So by having like as like the side thing at the same time, it allows us to make more clarification and such on there as well, I think.
But I want to go back to something like when you guys were talking about when we asked you about like when did you realize that this was real, and you started Oaks, you started telling me about Golden starting out with like just a simple script for a gun store. Like Golden, like when you look back at it right now, so long ago you started scripting for a little gun store, and look at it now. Like what does it make you feel like? Does it make you proud? Or, like,
Yeah,
like...
I never thought it would be where we are now. I mean, I was playing another server, and on the side, I was like working on my little things. And if I go on my Streamable account, there's like videos from like March 2012 of like a little Telegram UI I made, which looks completely different to how it does now. And then there's like the stable menu where you can buy the horse. And I was just showing these around to people, trying to like, to people that were interested in the server, so that we could like try to build a bit of hype for it and show everyone what we was building, because it obviously wasn't out yet. And I think that's when it kind of started to steamroll, like, and it got faster and faster, and loads more people started joining the Discord. It was a few months before, or a few weeks before we actually released, maybe a few months. And then, so we had quite a good amount of people just for the launch. We had like over 100 people.
But yeah, when we had like 100 people in the Discord, that's when Ox was like, "Oh, I'm getting a tattoo.
Yeah.
So yeah, even 100 people.
Never
in the
thought it'd
Discord
be
was
where we are now.
wild.
So
Yeah,
launch
we were
day,
like-
launch day. How did you like? What was on the launch day? Did you get 100 people come in, or
Yeah.
we brought
Yeah?
food.
We had a queue.
Yeah,
you had a
we had
queue?
on launch day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were capped
But I
out.
think-
We had like a
I think it
60
was like
player queue.
150. Yeah, it was like 150 cap, and then 60 player queue. So there was a lot of people.
Yeah. But what
Did you do
that
any
was
planning
crazy.
up to that? Like, did you plan the release?
Yeah. So
Kind of.
we had enough scripts ready where people could roleplay, and that was the goal to release. It was
so basic, yeah.
Yeah, it was sitting down and going, can people roleplay with this? And as soon as we could all answer yes, we were like, cool, we'll set a release date and we'll put it into beta. Funnily enough, it's like technically still in beta just now. But yeah, as soon as people can roleplay, throw it out. So we gave September 16th the release date. It was just hectic. It was constant.
Yeah, we had everything we needed. We had banks. You could rob the bank at the start of the server. You could get your horse. You could own a business and had all the stuff inside the business to sell. So you had all the basics there for like getting some stuff moving.
So what happened from then? Like, so did everyone just say? Was everyone spread out in the beginning, or were people like congregating in like one town, one area?
There's a few areas. There's Blackwater and St. Denis and obviously Valentine, and all the major towns had a lot of people in.
Yeah, and then you saw, okay, this okay, we need to come up with more. You go, okay, we need to open up more of these buildings. I don't know how it works. Like
Well, the reason we could, so the way it works, obviously you can only ever see 32 people. So the only way to raise that cap without causing issues is to encourage people to spread around the map to have 32 people, but in all different locations, so that one area never has more than 32 people, and that's how you avoid issues. But obviously, we do still have some culling, which is why we have to limit it.
but how
But yeah,
did
that's
you? So back then, I don't even know if you had an REO back then, or did someone in the community just go, "I would like to run the gun store in Annesburg," and then someone just management just went, or I see Oak shaking on his head. How did you do it back then?
REO was Psy cheese concept based on me saying we need some fucking help on this, because initially I said, look, REO needs to be in character, because at the end of the day we've got where we come from. It's you'd apply on a Google form, wait 3 weeks before you got a response, and even then the response would be yes, you've been accepted, and then you wait in 2 weeks for other stuff. And then I decided, like, I spoke with Sai and Chi, and I was just like, this can't be right. Like, we should have an office, a place where people go. People open the door, and there's somebody sat there saying, "Hey, you want a business? Come in here," that kind of thing. And we wanted it to be like correct. We wanted people to have it in character, because ultimately the goal of Ranch is to have everything in character as well, and that's still very much the same thing. It's very much the mantra of the server is we want everything to be in character. And the office itself was, we want people to walk in and go, "I want a business," and the person behind the counter goes, "This is how we do it." So this is why we use the books as a format. You had to write a book, you had to put pictures in there, you had to make it look pretty, bring it into the REO office, and then you'd have people like Charlie behind it going, "Nah, it's terrible, that. Let's go for another one." But this is the thing, is we wanted it to be realistic and to the point where people actually have it's not filling out a Google form, waiting 3 months to hear back from it. And that's very much it. The REO was I think it was like a day 2 idea, because somebody was like, shit, how do we get someone to own a business? Because we want, and it's still the same thing, players can own everything on the server pretty much. Like, they can own general stores, they can own certain offices, they can own this, they can do, so there's a lot there in place. We just wanted to make sure it was facilitated so that players would have an enjoyable experience while doing it.
So in the beginning there was no allocated job, like, because when you look at it today, some of the things are locked behind scripts. So you say that if you want a wagon, only a blacksmith can get you a wagon. Could you buy those back in the days? Just go up to like a menu and just buy them, or did you have to find like the 1 or 2 only blacksmiths on the server?
No, we made it so, like, the whole idea with wagons and big content was we wanted to make sure that every little thing that other servers give you has something attached to it in a way that is good. So, like, for example, with wagons, rather than having, grinding $1,000 and then going and buying a wagon and suddenly you're done, we wanted to make sure that it was the player economy that kind of controlled that. So, so, like, for example, Mr. Smith can go be a blacksmith. Now, Mr. Smith is the blacksmith in Valentine. Players who want to have wagons and upgrades and such like that would go to Mr. Smith rather than go to an NPC buy menu, because it creates roleplay. It creates competition. It creates, little things here like relationships and such like that people can really form. And that's in memory of kind of all of our script wise and such like that. Is everything to the point is to ensure that player interaction is there, because we don't like NPC menus. I know we have some of them on the server, and we're always brainstorming ways to get rid of it. And as Grady will tell you, down with NPC menus. Yep, there he is. Look, fuck buy menus already. And it's very much true. Is we fuck the buy menus, but it's very true that we want everything player interacted. So when we first launched, wagons, boats, trains weren't even a thing. And then we started working on the transport update, which Golden started working on. And it was, straight away, like, how can we make trains interactive for people? How can wagons benefit the economy? How can boats actually, develop into a place where people can utilize them for what they're for? And yeah, so that's kind of what happened when we started. So not everything wasn't locked behind a script back then, and even now they're not locked behind a script. It's just a case of, as long as you do the role play and such to earn or get to that position, then you can do so. So we just didn't have them when we launched, and that's why a lot of our updates and such may have been simplistic at first. I remember we launched trains and people were like, "Oh, other servers have had trains for years," and it's like, yeah, but other servers have had trains for years, but do they do this? Do they have this functionality? Does it allow players to do this? No, no, and no. So that's always the thought process behind adding new stuff. Anyway,
Is this what you think that like keeps Ranch Roleplay competitive compared to other servers? Like that we value RP, and everything you achieve is done through RP and not just a grinder mentality. Like what do you guys think? This is for all of you, all four of you. Like what do you guys think that Ranch RP is doing to stay competitive compared to, or stay above everybody else around in the Redem community? All the other servers, that is.
I think for me, before the others answer, because I know I'll ramble on if you allow me to, but for me, it's the scripts, the quality of scripts that we're providing to you, the quality of roleplay that you're actually getting when you log onto the server, and above all, the community that comes with it. Because at the end of the day, you can go on other communities and experience toxicity and blah blah blah, and their staff and such, or the community doesn't care. Whereas our community will openly hold your hand to help you out, and I think that's what makes us stay competitive.
Not you, Shally.
I think for me, some of the things that I really like about Ranch is that you have people that are running at the staff team that role play, that generally care about what the server is doing. And we may not be able to help with everything. I know that we get so many complaints about like hunting and things disappearing and the things that we can't do something for, but then we came out with baits. We come out with workarounds to get around things that other servers just don't do. We have Golden and Lao that have just completely changed how our server functions. You can't go on another server and see all of the mapping and all of the customization that we're able to do here. And I think that here on Ranch, we do appreciate the stories and the contributions of the community that they do. And so we enable things like that. I mean, I don't know any other server that you can go on and be like, hey, by the way, I want you to build me this thing, and then Maddie and her mapping team take it and make something absolutely breathtaking and incredible. I just don't think you have that type of investment in other servers.
What about you, Golden?
Yeah, I think Charlie hit the nail on the head. I mean, we're very invested in the community, and we also play, and we're obviously very involved. And we want it to be the best place it can be. So we spend a lot of time and sweat trying to accomplish that. Sometimes it can get very tiring, especially after a year. But we do try.
But he does get extremely excited when he comes up with something new. Like, I remember I was sending him my list of like, hey, I really need you to do these 13 things. And he's like, oh, I'm making boxes right now. And I was like, what? And he went onto the chat server and he's like, yeah, I have a box. You put stuff in it. And it was like, people are so excited about these boxes, but he was just making a box. And so it's really lovely to see just they are thinking about it. I know that some people are like, oh, we're waiting on things, and I get that. We all get that. But we have a cohesion for the scripting here that I think, like, you go onto other servers and it's like different stylized menus, different things for everything. And I know I've met with a couple of people that, it's like frustrating to see so many different things coming at you. I think that while it may be a longer wait for us to get to the same place where we have all of these things, it's all going to be cross-functional. It's all going to work together. It's all going to tie in together. And we have a very large staff team that really do dedicate a lot of time. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but you guys certainly put in a lot of tickets, and we do our best to get to them as quickly as we can. I know especially like the REO tickets can be very involved, especially when we're talking about what your business is and things like that. But our team they're in the server. We're a staff team that plays the game. So we're as passionate about the new things and passionate about the server itself as everybody else is.
Yeah. And I mean, the main thing for me that keeps us competitive, and they've all said it, is the community and the staff. The way that we are able to really quickly interact with the community, either through staff or ourselves. I don't think any other server really does that. And as Shally said, like the staff work super, super hard on getting things done quickly for the community, especially tickets. And I think one of the cool facts that I had is since we started using Ticket Tool, which is like the ticket system, we've closed 25,000 tickets.
25.
So that's like a lot. Yeah, that's like a lot of tickets for staff to be handling.
What's that?
And I'm going to say like
by 365.
Yeah,
And see how many that is per day.
I mean,
so
1,000 of them are Achilles asking things for his ranch, but we'll ignore that one.
And I think it's accurate to say that most of them get closed out within a day. Like they're really quick responses. The tester team especially are like, if you open a ticket, you know, it gets answered immediately. So some of them might kind of lag on a bit, but you know, I think we've done pretty well in terms of looking after the community. And I said, what I think the main competitive advantage that we have is someone can join the server, right, and experience it and think, I need X, Y, and Z. The server doesn't have X, Y, and Z, and they can like give us a really niche idea of like, I want to be able to cut down a tree, or I want to be able to spawn in a bison and ride on it. I think that was actually a suggestion, to ride bison.
It was.
You know, like the actual ability for like me and Golden and Cow to do that, like basically no servers can do that. So that's a decent step forward in terms of the competitive advantage that we have. But mostly the community. I think that's the main thing.
Just to touch on this whole when we're talking about the whole community and what everybody can and everybody can get anything. I know that me personally, I want to know about this. What you did last year? You did a couple of awards last year. At least I know of one award for someone who became the role player of the year.
It's probably the month, but you know we haven't chosen another one. I don't believe. But we've done that a few times where we've done this cool idea, but then just not followed through. Like we've done it once.
Do you have any plans for that? Now that we're getting to the end of the year now, like we're closing in on the end of the year. Do you have any plans for awarding out like a Mima of the year for Chi, or Coder of the year for Cow, or
do a Ranch award show?
The thing with awards, right, is we open the decision making to the community. So we had like a Google questionnaire thing of like nominating people, and the people who won it last time, Bobby and Pete, they were like really popular in the server. Don't get me wrong, they're probably one of our best role players still to this day. But it's I feel like it's like a popularity contest in a way. Unless we have like a panel of judges sitting down and actually judging people.
Yeah.
And the ability to judge everyone on the server, it's like it's a bit disingenuous if we give it to someone when actually someone else does provide better roleplay just because, you know, they might be popular or something.
Yeah, well, they might not have roleplayed with these. You know, somebody's to miss people, you know.
Yeah, the problem is we can't see everything. I'm sorry.
Go on,
you.
I was going to say, we can't see everything that happens on the server as much as we'd like to. And, you know, a roleplay of the year is a great idea, but, you know, our interpretation of great roleplay might not be somebody else's interpretation of great roleplay. Like, you know, I could turn around and say that, you know, X player is one of the best role players in the world, but then somebody turns around and says, yeah, but he's broken this rule, done this, done that. But I think his roleplay is fantastic. You know, it does unfortunately become like a popularity contest at the end of it, because there's no real way to judge what is great roleplay and what isn't. I mean, there is obviously, you know, minor ways, like somebody running up and shooting poor old deputy so-and-so on the porch is probably bad roleplay. But this is the other point of that, is on the other side, you don't know the roleplay that's kind of happened between those two to get to that point. So I think, you know, for us to turn around and say that a role player of the year is somebody, you know, it really there's a lot of factors that come into it rather than just this person is voted because I like this person. So it does kind of struggle. And it's not to say the ones who had it before don't deserve it, because 110% the guys, Pete is fucking amazing. Every time I spectate that guy, I'm just pissing myself with laughter. Bobby, I tune on his streams every day, every time that I can. And it's just like watching a genuine book just being read to you. Like, they are incredible role players. So, but the thing is, other people might not see them the way we see them. And, we might not see their nominations the way that they see them, so it's a bit of a struggle.
Yeah, I think when you have it done by the community, the struggle is for those folks that are not on the predominant time zones are automatically kind of at a disadvantage.
Yeah, even making a list for nominations, like how do we pick who to nominate? There's 11,000 potentially, and we're gonna miss a few.
And when we did announcements to say that these people are fantastic role players, it's really just the tip of the iceberg. I think that there's so many storytellers, and one of the things that I think we do pretty well here is the fact that not everyone has to make this big, massive impact. Sometimes you have characters that are just that they're just there, and that doesn't mean that they're not fantastic role players just because they're not robbing banks or making some grand dramatic part of their story, but they're still phenomenal role players. But a lot of times people look at the big story arcs or the conflict story arcs, and that's not everyone's style of role play.
No. What about some up and coming features then? You got a little bit something for all of us here. I know that for Easter we I think Evie went around and placed down like 600 odd chocolate eggs or something like that. Like I know October coming around soon. You got anything for October, or like you got anything you want to share with us? You got coming up?
Yeah, I mean we always have the grand Halloween fight that gets you a good prize if you win.
Oh, right, we're doing that again.
Tell us about that. Hold on. Go back. Tell us about that one, Leo.
Still waiting on my
Yeah. So last Halloween, we had like a voting thing on Discord where you could like self-assign a role, and it was like you could be a skeleton, you could be a pumpkin, a cat, a broom, I don't know what, bats. So you could self-assign a role to yourself, and you could only do it once. And I don't know why I had this idea, but it was whoever has the most of that role. I think skeletons were like 150 people.
Horse.
I would put them into like a battleground on a game, and
it was rigged.
I would like divide the teams based on how many members they had. So if it was like 150 skeletons, you would have like, I don't know, 50 in-game skeletons, and if you had 20 pumpkins, you had like 5 pumpkins in game, and we made them fight. And yeah, it was, people say it's rigged, but Team Skeleton clearly demolished the rest of the groups.
I think Team Skeleton was on 2 different sides of the battle. They had 10 times the numbers, and you turned bats into shrimps. Right? It was definitely rigged, and I'm not even a team bat.
I mean, yeah.
I've got a little idea for Halloween that I want to do as well. I don't know how everyone would feel about it, but over the last year, there's been a lot of characters that have been killed, they're dead now. It could be a cool way for Halloween to like maybe you drink a drink and it's got it's a drug drink, and you fall asleep and then wake up in a new virtual world, and you can see people that have had their characters killed go into this virtual world and interact with them in this kind of dreamy thing. I don't know how I feel about it or how you guys feel about it, but
so one day where you can revive your dead character.
Well, it would be like a day where permanent characters can walk around in this virtual world, and then to access the virtual world, you would drink some kind of drug drink, like maybe a tonic using the right ingredients would take you there.
And it's going to take you to a room where Pete's going to insult you for drinking the drink.
Shut up. Leave me alone. Get out of here.
Well, it wouldn't, it'd be one. Any dead characters.
I think that would be fantastic. That would be funny.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Like that, I could just imagine that. It'd be a lot of fun in there for a lot of people. But yeah, like so is that in the works right now? Like, what's
That's just an idea.
Do you have
Yeah,
anything?
we usually do something. We usually do something for Halloween.
Yeah.
Whether that's me like walking about as a creepy character, or as I said, the little Halloween event that we do. Yeah, we plan to do at least one event for each holiday: Halloween,
Alright.
Christmas.
We do have a fully staffed events team now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. We have the events team that could help. So yeah,
Any
it's really up to them.
like if you like, let's say we right now, I want you guys, each of you guys right now, to describe. I want you to describe Ranch RP as a whole, the status of Ranch RP. Like now
The reason I'm bold.
The reason you're bold. How do you see Ranch RP today? Like what's Ranch RP today to you, compared to what it was a year ago?
Go on, you go first, mate. I talk a lot.
Yeah, I'll go first. How do I see Ranch today? I genuinely think it is the best community on Red M. I do a little bit of like analysis into other servers, because you need to like see what they're doing. You need to, get the competitive edge. That's a whole kind of business side of things. But when I look at all of the servers, I think the community here is genuinely so welcoming. You don't get the amount of help that you get anywhere else. So, especially for new people wanting to try out Red Dead Roleplay, it's sort of like a no-brainer from my point of view, to come over to Ranch. We don't do like interviews to get into the server. We have a whitelist application just to know that you speak English, but we don't like
Can
take
read the
you into a
rules,
call and make you do voice acting interviews. We don't, take 7 years to answer a support ticket. We have normal people in the community helping out in the general chats. So overall, I think we're at a really good point in terms of we still have so much potential going forward. There's still so much to do in terms of scripts, in terms of people's characters progressing more. But yeah, I think we're in a good spot. I think 1 year in is, I think we're a lot further after 1 year than we expected. So
Yeah, I think we're in a good place. There's definitely areas that could be improved. There's no, but there's always going to be room for improvement, and we're definitely on a good trajectory to becoming like, yeah. We're in a great spot.
Yeah, no, great to hear. Great to hear. Like, what about you, Shelly?
I would say we're a work in progress. I think that there's a lot of things that we have going for us. And I really do think that we have a management team that's engaged, and we have people that are passionate about making this server a success. I do think that from a community standpoint, there's a lot that we need to do. And I'll be very honest here, and I've shared this with the management team, but I think that we need to be in touch with our community more. We need to increase communication. We need to increase transparency, and that's part of where this podcast becomes really great, so that we can kind of reestablish what we had. If you look back a year ago to the Discord, you see so much activity, excitement, engagement, and we lost a little bit of that. But I think that from the conversations that I've had with management, I think that we're going to do everything we can to kind of get that back, get that excitement back, get that drive back, because I think a lot of people are feeling a little bit of burnout. And I think that's our biggest priority is really reconnecting with our community. I know that's probably not on the same line, but I think that's for me my vision.
I agree with everything Charlie's saying. Like, I think Ranch to me is the best community on Red M. It is absolutely, the place that people can wake up and go, right, I'm going to go role play here. But at the same time, I think there's a lot of work that we need to do as well. At the same time, I think, for us to sit here and say that everything's perfect, and it would be a detriment to the community. I think there's a lot of things that there are a lot of things that we need to work on. And communication is 100% the first and foremost thing that we really struggle with. But in terms of like making changes and kind of working with the community to get back to that excitement, looking at a server changelog and going, fuck, this is going to be amazing. Like, looking at, like, even just, I know it sounds thingy, but even just me shit posting and accidentally releasing some information like I used to all the time, little things like that go a very long way. And it's true. I used to accidentally leak things all the time. I'd be there like, oh yeah, so I was testing the poker script earlier, and everyone's like, poker script? What? There's a poker script coming? Like hell yeah! So like, I agree with Shelly 100%. Is like, it is an incredible community. It is an incredible server, and it is obviously the best one on Red M 100%. And the community is so welcoming. But at the same time, and this is what I think makes us better than everybody else, is because we can hold our hands up and turn around and go, yeah, we need to make some changes here. Or, we've messed up. Or this was a really bad idea. Like, we're not afraid to backtrack. We're not afraid to change things. And I think that's what makes us stand out from other communities as well, is the fact that we can just turn around and go, yeah, you know what, we fucked up here. Or, yeah, do you know what, we didn't listen to you guys. Why didn't we? So it's a work in progress. But at the same time, it is still the best community on Red M, and I dare say probably one of the best communities across all role-playing spheres.
Yeah, and I think we have a team that constantly wants to try and test the boundaries and see just how much further we can push it within the limitations that Rockstar gave us.
Well, bringing back to Rockstar, we got some great news not long ago that Rockstar took over. Was it CFX they took over or bought CFX? Is there any news to that? From this is probably more for Golden and Leo.
I mean, I was just reading. They do like a monthly. CFX does like a monthly release of updates and whatnot. And they done one. I think it was yesterday or the day before, just kind of summarizing that we've been acquired by Rockstar and we're going to continue working on Red M and 5M. There was not really anything specific in terms of what that means. But I think it is a good thing in terms of having access to the Rockstar ecosystem.
Yeah, it's just going to take time.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of stuff in the core programming of Red M and 5M that Rockstar hides away and doesn't tell, and all their documentation's hidden. So it's really a research process, or it was a research process to make 5M and Red M what it is. Thankfully now, and hopefully now, we as developers get more documentation, more access to what things do, how to work around stuff in the engine. Because right now we resort to looking at the decompiled code of Red Dead Redemption 2 to figure out what is what. So yeah, I think it's definitely a positive. And it makes us excited for, like future releases of Rockstar games, and the fact that roleplay can continue as like a gaming thing for years to come.
And there's new stuff being discovered all the time. Like the recently discovered thing on Red M is the fact that you can change the colors of all clothing. Like even though it might appear one color, you can change it like an RGB, like any color. And there's all these new things being discovered. Yeah, and that's something we're working on as well, is updating the clothing store so that you can change the colors of all the pieces.
Oh.
And horse coats.
And that same technology does apply to horses. And like we've found that with horses, like when you create your character, you can adjust like your body weight or your face and that sort of stuff. And you could do the same thing with a horse. So we could look at that for like breeding and stuff. We could make the horse shift its actual body, like with a mutation, depending on its sort of parents, and it opens the door for a lot more stuff in that regard.
So you tell me if I go into the clothing store right now, I find a hat. I think this is a great hat, but the colors are absolutely ridiculous. But I would love to have that one in pink instead.
You'll be able to change the palette. So there's different types of palettes. You have like palettes for leather or for different types of materials, and then in that palette you'll have like almost infinite different colors to choose from.
Oh, this is gonna be so good. I know a lot of people on the server. They really spend a lot of time in those clothing stores figuring out exactly what's
Yeah.
mix and matching.
So to all 900 of you that are constantly DMing me about the dress packs and the clothing packs that are currently available from other script buyers, one is coming, I promise. I
Yeah.
know. So-
Okay, I do have one. I have a question I've been sitting on here for a little bit that I want to ask each individually, one at a time. We'll start with Shally and we'll go to Golden Oaks and Leo. Okay, if you could go back and change, try to keep it to just one thing. Okay, just try to keep it to one thing. If you could go back and change one thing or do from the beginning, would there be anything? And if so, what would you do differently or change?
Why'd you start with me? I don't know. Let's see. I don't know. I think I would have done Ario a little bit differently. It does make me sad that the business portion of Ario is no longer in character because I always enjoyed the in character portion of talking about businesses. It just wasn't sustainable to how large our community is. And I think that's probably my biggest regret. I feel like I kind of failed the Ario portion there with the in character things. And it just, so much beautiful role play came out of that. We're too big of a community. And nobody wants to be an Ario agent because we get dumped on. So that's probably my biggest regret is that I couldn't make that work.
I just want to touch on that, Charlie. I don't think you should regret it, mate. I think the issue is just we grew way past what we thought our capabilities would be. Like I think I don't know. Maybe you can regret it if you want to, but I think the tools that you had and the tools that the previous owners of Ario had, everybody did fantastic with what they had.
Yeah, I think that I don't think there's any particular staff team that has ever really not tried. I feel like, we're so limited on the things that we can do. And especially when you add time zones and the fact that we've got players from all over. But I do miss that segment of the role play. Just seeing what people come up with is fantastic. And hearing them talk about it and just, it was such fun.
All right. So there's nothing, not necessarily changed, but maybe I've done a little bit different. It's probably more for the three original OGs right there. Like maybe I've programmed something
Let them
differently.
answer the tough questions.
Yeah. I mean, if it was me, I'd.
Below me.
Huh? Sorry.
On the thing, you're below me.
Oh.
I was pointing to the wrong people.
Well, I'd stop over. Like, I feel like I overpromised quite a lot. For example, the ranching script, saying it was ready, way before, because I thought I'd just be able to hammer it out. But I've just there's a constant like workload.
Kenny.
Yeah.
Where is Kenny? Wait for him to crop up, being like, "Where's my script?"
Yeah, I'm an overpromiser a bit, but sometimes I can get stuck in. I can hammer things out really fast. Other times, I'm not in the right frame of mind, and I struggle to do the most basic thing. It just depends what I'm like.
No, that's completely understandable. But you guys work so hard, and as I could understand, like you're golden. Everybody's saying you got a billion ideas. Oaks even said at the beginning of the podcast, he goes, the amount of things that goes through this man's brain is absolutely ridiculous. I could just assume that you were just sitting there going, "Oh, this would be good. This would be great. I could do this. We could do that. We could do this. And then, yeah."
Yeah, I hate to kind of put Golden on a pedestal here, but the guy is such a people pleaser like myself, in the fact that if he knows he can do it, he will. But at the same time, he's also suffers from the same thing as once you kind of get into it, you're like, shit, this is a bigger task than I thought it would be. And yeah, the guy is incredible. Like I say all the time, but we butt heads and argue like fucking brothers all the time, and all the management do, to be fair. But the guy is insane. Like he's so fucking clever, and I don't think he realizes it, honestly. Like half of the stuff that we have on the server wouldn't be possible without this guy fucking waking up at 4 a.m. and not going to sleep until 2 p.m. to make sure that it's done. So yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate
What
it.
about you? Oh, sorry. But no, obviously I'm still relatively new here compared to everyone, but I can only sit there and nod and say I see all of you guys working hard. That goes to basically every single staff member that we have on the team. But I just wanted to throw the ball to Oaks now. If there's anything that he's thinking back in retrospective and go, fuck, we should have done this instead. But it is what it is now, You kept saying Oaks in the beginning. You're like, at the beginning it was just like, fuck it, let's just try it. Try to see if it works. And anything you...
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah, fuck it, let's do it. And now it's stuck there and you can't really change it? Or yeah, anything like that?
I know you said one, but I have three. My first one is I believe we should have done law differently. I think we kind of got stuck in the thing with law is like we saw how it worked on other servers and thought this is a good idea. I think we should have just gone ahead and just done one massive thing, like one big department together, and kind of worked with it on that and have little different subsections. Because a lot of choices were very incorrect. I think we introduced a lot of things at the wrong time. So, like, for example, I was so focused on marshals that weren't really kicking stills down and such like that. So I made the, Department of Revenue, and it was a fantastic idea to go through with it. And then eventually it was just like, have implemented this a bit too early. And I think that's the same with all law things. My second one is, and it might sound a bit insulty, but is some of the official faction choices that we started with at the start of the server. I think we should have held off for a little bit longer and seen what kind of developed, but we were so intense to try and get official factions being suppliers and, being the drivers of roleplay that, some choices weren't the best choices. And then my third one is probably on my own personal one. It's just a case of, I think the way that some staff things are handled could have been done a lot different, or, some staff choices, or even the people in staff could have been, different. To make sure that everybody gets a strict and a place where everyone's happy. So those are my three biggest regrets in the server, and things that I think we should have done differently. I think law should have been mapped out intensely from the start, rather than just stick glue and spit together and hope it works. And then with like official factions and staff choices at the time, I think we could have done a bit better.
Just before we quickly go over to Leo, I just want to go back to the one we talked about, law being one big law faction instead. So this is just from my point of view. I like the fact that you have different counties with the different sheriffs, because you go, this is my jurisdiction. Go do your own
I mean,
jurisdiction.
you still would have that. It's just the whole idea was, and me and Golden love this idea. Is the whole the one department thing allows people to be held accountable, and it allows a whole stricter term of adherence across board. So everybody's trained to the same standard, but at the same time you still got your sheriffs in other offices, you've still got your captains, you still got your marshals, but everyone's under one big banner, rather than, because you see it all the time. It's like, NHSO training is shit, or LSO training is shit, or WESO is too power hungry, all that kind of stuff. I think the way to address that, for me personally, is to make sure that everyone's kind of on the same standard without kind of burning creativity at the same time. Because at the same time as we want rough lawmen, we want people to be rough around the edges. But at the same time, rough around the edges doesn't mean keep somebody in a cell for 2 hours. It means actually portray rough as a character. And that's where I think that the one law thing that me and Golden actively push every time we can. Is something that needs to happen.
So you're saying,
or something that we should have launched with in the first place.
Same. So a standard like a SOP and training procedure for all across, and still have sheriffs independently.
Now, again, this is just ideas, so please don't take this as gospel. But the whole idea is it's based on a concept that we've had and seen before. Initially, my whole idea of a one department, and again, this is up for interpretation, this can change anytime, this isn't set in stone, but my whole idea of being one department would be a case of, okay, you have your in-character interview. then yes, it's an out of character interview. It's a little disturbing, but it just kind of gauges who you are as a person outside of the server, and just see, you know, if you can manage the kind of expectations that we want. Once you've completed both of those, a little bit of a test just to make sure that you understand what it is that you're doing, and then you put into training. And it sounds really simplistic, but I always wanted to say that, you know, you should always attend one big training session that is done by, I don't know, recruitment deputies or, you know, all that kind of thing. And those at the specific training location, it's just a case of expectations as a lawman, expectations of what is expected as you in character, nothing out of character, and just how you handle yourself. And then once you've completed that, then you go to your respective offices and do your own, you know, monthly training or whatever they see fit. I just think by having one thing is a standardization, it ensures that everybody is, you know, sticking to the status quo, but at the same time, you know, you can still be that piece of shit lawman that you want to be. You can still go off and flirt with 20 different doctors. You know, you can still be a dickhead. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. It's just you're held to a standard rather than, you know, everything else.
Yeah. All right. What about okay. No. What about Leo? Like, is there anything that you would have gone like, shit, I should have scripted that different, or man, they shouldn't have had this, but it's too late now.
Yeah, so I'm a big stickler for like the development processes. So in terms of how does something go from an idea to, you know, launching into production or launching into the live server, one of the things we always done was me and Golden would just sit down, discuss an idea briefly, and get straight into the programming. Like, we wouldn't have any design documents. We wouldn't really think too deep on, okay, if someone does this, then what happens then? I think if I was to go back when we were coding the earlier systems, like farming, like there's a lot of stuff with farming that I think could be improved on. I don't know, banking or maybe the faction system or anything really we could have designed a bit better. And don't get me wrong, like the current design of them just now is like, it's great, like it's good enough to be on the server, but a little bit more thought into how X will affect Y would be good.
Of course, Mr. Gambino himself thinks about banking.
Yeah. I mean, the only downside to that is things will take longer to release. And I believe, like, during the first 6 months, we were really like, oh, we need to get this out. We need to get this out, you know, like within a week, because we were doing so many quick fixes and so many quick releases. But I think now we're at a good stage where we've slowed down our release cycle. We've kind of renamed it to like quality of life releases, which are very small changes that help stuff out, to then full feature releases, which we do once every couple of months. So those full feature releases are like properly designed now. So we'll actually look and think, if we do X, what will happen at this stage, etc. Yeah, I think that's my only kind of thing to look back on from a development point of view.
I will add on, I do wish back as soon as we launched, we had a whitelist, and we just there's a lot of players that just don't fit with the vision of the server, and I feel like we could have saved a lot of. Like I'm looking at the chat now, and I can see all these people in here I know are great role players, and I feel like for their sake we should have had a whitelist to start with and been a lot more strict.
Do you think that Ranch Roleplay would have had the player base and the community size it has today if we started out with a whitelist?
I don't think it's all about the size of the player base. So obviously it's very good to have this large player base, and you're always going to see players no matter kind of where you go on the map. You're going to run into someone, which is great. And I think the average player on Ranch now is at a great spot. They're very capable of role playing, and they know what we want. But then it is still quite easy for someone that doesn't get the vision and doesn't really care about creating these awesome scenes. It's quite easy for them to still slip in. And I think our whitelist application could definitely use some more work, make it a bit more tough to get in.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I agree with that. In the fact is, like we always said as well, is it's all very well having 250 odd players, but realistically, 60 of those might not be up to the standard that we have. And at the same time, it's all very well being able to run into people left, right, and center, and being able to actually, see people. But would you rather take it a little bit longer to actually find someone who has a story attached to them, or would you rather, walk into someone and all you hear is hands, 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 and that's it? There's nothing there. There's no substance.
Yeah, I would
And
definitely
I think
agree
a stricter
with that.
whitelist.
Yeah, and I'm
a
sure we're
stricter
going to be
whitelist
moving
would
in
have
that
been.
direction.
And I think we're at
Yeah,
the
100%.
size we have the community that we really can start elevating the role play, because I think that there's a lot of people that have so much talent here. And and that contributes to the burnout is when you have when you're providing role play and you're trying to build a story and you have someone that just comes in and, excuse my language, but shits all over it. And so I think that that's definitely something that we need to address. It's something that is going to be a priority for us moving forward. We want to,
Yeah.
we have a great community. We just now need to start tailoring that community to the stories and really promoting that aspect.
Yeah, it's definitely a privilege to be able to play with the role players that we have on here. There's so many amazing role players that we have here, and it is a privilege to be able to role play with them.
Mm-hmm.
And you should treat it as a privilege and not a right to be here.
Oh no, 100%. The only concern I had was like, I can only speak from my own perspective. I back in the days, I joined with 2 of my friends, and I think they joined because it was a non-whitelisted server. Had Ranch Roleplay been a whitelisted server back then, they might have gone to a different one, and I can only speak on my, like, I would have just been on the server with the server that would have been in the end. So my only concern was like, do you think that we would have been where we are today? Like,
absolutely, I'm sure we would have missed out a lot of great role players even if we had a more strict whitelist now. There's going to be players that just don't want to do it, even though if there wasn't a whitelist process, they'd get on, they'd be amazing, but they might just not want to do the whitelist, and that's going to happen. But it's sort of, you got to weigh the scales, kind of thing.
And whitelist can be very intimidating, and I don't think we'll ever move to the position where, whitelist takes 6 months and you have to go through all these tests and you have to put in all these clips. I think that what we want to do is we want to tailor our whitelist so that people are understanding the priorities and the values that Ranch
The vision,
has.
yeah.
I mean, an understanding of the rules is easy. You just go to the wiki and it's fine. You do a Control F, you get everything you need. What we want to do is we want to make sure that you're understanding the values and understanding what the hell role play is, because there's some people that don't.
Yeah, no,
100%. I think the main thing for us is it's not so much about having stricter and harsher standards. It's about understanding the standards. It's as long as you understand what is expected of you, then you can perform to those expectations. Having strict standards that basically say you must do this, you must do this, you must do this, it really kind of limits creativity, I think, and it kind of puts people in a bad situation. Like, just an example, we've had situations where players on the server have been given like a temporary warning, and then because they were given a temporary warning, a lot of their roleplay goes from being really good to, I need to behave, I need to look after myself. And I think that's one thing is, it's a misunderstanding of the expectations rather than etc. I don't think it's a case of we need to be harsher. I think just the expectations and kind of the understandings for everybody else needs to be crystal, so that the highest scholar in the world can understand it, and the lowest person with IQ can understand it. Like, it's a bit of a weird comparison, but yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. I just want to point out here, I do have a list here of that I got sent by Leo of all the winners of the giveaways. So I don't know if you guys want to dig into that right now. I think there's probably some people out there in the chat sitting there going, "Oh,
let's be real. This is why everyone came."
So
I don't know.
let's do it. Yeah. So for all the people that have joined in on the giveaway, you want to do it, Shelly? You can do it.
No, I wanted to enter.
Oh, you wanted to enter? Well, it's too late. The winners have already been drawn. So,
but it's sticky if management wins.
all right. So for one of the winners of the 10-pound gift card, we have The World Is Yours, Uncle Albert, everybody's favorite uncle. So how do we do this? How do we do the people message Leo? Give him a bit.
Oh no, I'll email.
You'll email
the
every
accounts.
single one? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, The World Is Yours, everyone's favorite uncle. What does he do again? He's I was about to say moonshiner, but he runs the light tower in Van Horn?
Yep,
Yeah,
lighthouse
yeah.
keeper.
Yeah, lighthouse
That
keeper.
guy. I don't know
Uh-oh.
the name, but I
We got
remember
one
that
of our-
guy.
We got one of our staff members for the other 10-pound gift card.
Gosh, it's Rick.
Isabella
Oh, no.
de la Rosa. I probably butchered that completely. I am no speak of Spanish. Sorry, I'm not good at that. But she won another £10.
Shush, Kenny.
Yep. And for the third gift card, we got Totally Not Kenobi. On is that what it says? Totally Not Kenobi on Twitch. £10. Yeah, £10. 10 quid. Do you want me to say quid instead? It's Totally Not Kenobi on Twitch. That's what it says. Totally not
10 quid.
Totally Not Kenobi. Yeah, it's a massive one. It's a 10. I'm just gonna say 10 quid from now on instead. For the fourth 10 quid gift card, we got I'm not sure if it's Mr. Sane Man or Mrs. Ain Man. I'm not sure. Mrs. Ain Man or Mr. Sane Man. Won another 10 quid gift card. We got another 10 quid gift card. David Dubosh or Betonaires. I don't know if you guys know who that is. I'm butchering some of these names. Winner of the RDR2 Steam is Nick95, James J. And another one of the winners of the RDR2 Steam is Momo Mountain, Etta Klein. And the third winner of the RDR2 Steam is Mrs. Mad Max, Dr. Stella Cromwell. Congratulations to all the winners so far. If you already got the game, obviously most of you already got the game. Get your friends to come in here. Get your friends to give it to one of your friends. Say, come play with me on Ranch Roleplay. The winner of one of the winners of the Starfield game on Steam is Mayarito Nicolaus Papas.
Oh,
Mayarito? I'm butchering this. Sorry, it's a double L, and I see it looks like Spanish, and I know the double L. I'm sorry. Nicolaus Papas. Congratulations on the Starfield game. The second winner is Maddie, our own lead admin, Maddie Sage, but she's on LOA right now, right? So she's probably not even here.
She's
rigged,
here.
rigged.
Oh, she's absolutely here.
Rigged.
No, rigged. It's rigged.
Rigged. No, Gabrielle. Sorry, I'm sorry. But okay, Leo said he's already gonna reach out to everyone through email. That's fine. Stop shaming me. I'm terrible at it. All right, we got the winner of 2 months Diamond Priority is Bold TV, Mr. Charles Scott of the what's it called again? The Scarlet Meadow.
The Scott family.
Scarlet family. Won 2 months of Diamond Priority. Yeah.
Rigged.
Congratulations. You won something. You won something, Bo. You won something. The second winner of 2 months of Diamond Priority is Metal Cut Lily Graves. The Scarlet family. Is it the Scott's family? Did I say Scarlet? I thought it was the Scott family.
Yeah.
Yeah, Lily Graves. Lily Graves, Metal Cut. Congratulations. You won the second 2 months of Diamond Priority. Wait, hold on. We're giving away. Hold on. There's more. Never mind. There's more. We're not stopping here. Jesus. All right. The third winner of 2 months of Diamond Priority is Keldwin Tony Yellow Zachary. You work at LSO, right? You work at Lemoyne Sheriff's Office. Yellow Win.
He owes Douglas money, I've heard.
Excuse me, no metagaming in chat, please.
Yeah, no metagaming in chat. We're getting banned. Yellow Win. I don't know how to pronounce that. Double L. Yellow. Zachary, Keldwin, Tony, congratulations. Okay. The fourth winner of 2 months of Diamond Priority is House of Uet. That's one of the Wapiti natives, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure about that. Congratulations. The last winner of our 2 months of Diamond Priorities, Gay French Toast, Birdie Farrow. Yep, there you go. All right. Here's what everybody's been waiting for. All right? Everybody, gonna get a drum because this is a highlight, okay? This is a highlight. The winner of a 3D printed model of your own character, or if you want something to give it as a gift to someone else, is Legolas Killed Achilles. Scott Watson. I'm not sure who that is. Someone pop in. Someone tell me who that is. Legolas Killed Achilles. Scott Watson. I'm sure. I'm sorry. I don't know who that is.
That's weird. It says that I won this one on my list. Right.
Oh, it says on your list. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh shit, we do have another one, right? We do have another one. Shit, we got that GFX, right? Yeah, we still got a GFX to give away. That's right. But does anyone really care about that? Can't we just send it to some no, okay. All right. You probably all want to hear this now. The winner of the RTX 4060 or similar, all depending on where you are and what's available at where you are in the world, okay, is me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Calm down, everybody. Jesus, calm down. No, it is J.K. Jane Morrison. Woo! Congratulations on your 4060 RTX. J.K. Jane Morrison. Congratulations to all the winners. You will be contacted by Lara through email or through some shady ass email account, probably saying, "Click this link if you." We do also have some of the yeah. Okay. All right. What I want to before we wrap this up, because we are getting to the end, I do have another question before I know that I think Shelly and probably the management want to come with a little bit of public service announcement about the future. That has nothing to do with the podcast itself, but I do want to ask each and every single one of you from the management, how has this affected you? Have you evolved on a personal level by being part of Ranch Roleplay and staff? Have you evolved? Have you become more level-headed? How have you evolved?
I think I have personally. For those who knew me before Ranch, knew I was quite just I think, don't get me wrong, I still am kind of like a joker type, but those who knew me before Ranch, I was very much how's the word? I didn't really care too much about other feelings and whatever I said. So I would say something, somebody get upset, and I'd just be like, "Ugh, that's your problem." And coming into Ranch, like, I kind of figured out, like, communication, everything across the board was just awesome. Like, for me, it was a case of I've evolved in that my communication is stellar. I can sit and talk with people for hours, and the genuine care of people. Like, I used to coach, for example. I used to do a lot of business coaching, and it was all about results. Wasn't really about the person, and Ranch has allowed me to kind of develop into the person side. So, like, if somebody's having an issue, it's really easy for me to connect with them on a one-on-one basis, on a personal level, to turn around and say, yeah, this is what we can do together. So I think I personally developed from myself, just kind of just being approachable rather than somebody who wasn't able to kind of communicate with people on a level. And don't get me wrong, I still think I am a headstrong, stubborn bastard sometimes, as the guys know. But yeah, I think it's kind of allowed me to develop further in communication and kind of figuring people out better.
Yeah, no, like I gotta say, I'm happy for you. Like that must give you so much. I would like if that was me, I'd be like, oh, let's go, personal development and all that. That's proud of you, Oaks. Proud of you. Shows character.
Thank you.
Right, who wants to go next?
Yeah,
Okay.
I could go next. I've learned that people will break your code no matter how much you test it. So I think I've got better at coding. I've got better at role playing over the year. Yeah. How to handle like a workload and stress and stuff, definitely.
Oh yeah, it would be for you, wouldn't it? Like testing yourself out. How much?
My voice is still trash though. I can't do any voices.
I've heard you.
Oh, come on, bro. I heard your American voice when we was in Westo together.
It's
and it
not
was
an American
good.
voice. It sounds like I'm just holding my nose.
I wasn't taking the piss. It sounded good. Like it was really good.
Yeah, I heard Bird the other day pushing you for an American accent, and you did good, dude. Like, and a different
like we
voice,
need to
and a
hear
different
this.
voice.
Yeah, maybe you guys will hear that one day on the new character. No, I'm not doing it. Shut up.
Please.
No,
Do it.
absolutely
Do it.
not. It's a work in
Come on.
progress. I did one
community
line. That's
demanded.
what I've done so far.
That's the theme of tonight.
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not.
try.
All right. Oh, well, Shally has now turned into Oaks, and Golden has now turned into Shally because Oaks turned off his camera. But Shally, from your point of view and your perspective, has this helped you evolve, develop, got any new skills?
Absolutely. I wasn't I wouldn't consider myself to be a exemplary role player. I feel like I'm pretty standard, but I think that I've learned a lot about pacing and just a whole bunch from watching other people role play and watching other people build stories. And so it's been a really great opportunity. I learned how to do mapping. We have some phenomenal mappers on this team, and I've also learned how to do 3D modeling, which I'm still not. I can do the 3D model. I can't do getting it into Red Dead. That's a golden help. So that's I've learned a lot of new
share the
things.
knowledge on that.
I've learned a lot of new things. I'm just still learning. Work in progress. I still can't do fucking jack off of voices. You either get a Boston accent or you don't get any accent. That's not true. I can't do no accent. As soon as you get me irritated, it comes out. Well,
I think the biggest change for Charlie is going from 1 glass of wine a night to 3. But
I've gone through an entire bottle during this session. So.
Hey, let's go. We just confirmed that Shally can basically drink everyone.
But I made the lighting perfectly. You can't tell that I'm like beet red from like the booze burn, you know.
Oh
lighting.
Yeah. What about you, Leo?
Oh,
What you got?
One thing I've learned, I think, on the soft skill side, I think patience is one of them. Before I was like head on first into everything, but I've learned to chill out a bit, essentially. The main thing I've learned though is not so much the programming aspect, although I have learned quite a lot to program in Red M. It's more like the hidden stuff behind the scenes of how do we handle like 1.5 million connections, and how do we like deal with DDoS attempts and server lagging and the security side of things, essentially. Like the amount of hours that we spend digging deep into why things are slow or lagging,
Performance,
or why people can't get into the server, or a whole.
And we're still learning. We're still learning loads of new stuff.
Oh yeah. That's been the biggest thing so far. Because as I said, we've not had a community this big before. It's never been something that we ever had to consciously think about. And yeah, it's not as simple as just, buying a server from some host and sticking a script on it. But yeah, that's the main thing. Patience and the nitty-gritty hard stuff behind the scenes.
Great. Well, I'm happy. I'm happy that all of you have not only evolved as role players, but most importantly as a person. You've moved boundaries. You've learned new assets, new skills. Like that's great. Like at the end of the day, that we get a awesome experience out of role playing. We're having fun. It's what we enjoy to do in our free time. But at the same time, we're evolving as people.
Yeah, and speaking at the end of the day, we're getting to the end. We're all having fun, but I am the one tasked to be and the one that makes sure that we get the last point before some of us fall asleep. And well, I'd be giving the mic to you here, Shali, because you and I've been looking at a bit of something before we did this, and we spoke a bit about the feedback, how the community were able to engage with us and us with them, and a way that we could get their point of views and how we could adapt to that.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we are planning is to have a community meeting in a couple of weeks. I think we're targeting the October 7th, which is the first Saturday in October. And one of the things that we're hoping to do is really kind of showcase your voice. You've spent the past, I don't even know, 2 freaking hours listening to us talk. We want to also showcase what you have to say. And so what we're going to be circulating in the announcements at some point after this, because I am drunk and I have to type it up, but we're going to do a form, and we're calling it a call for solutions, because we really want to hear what you think we can do to elevate the role play and elevate Ranch to the next level. And I know a lot of that is going to focus on features and things like that, but we do want you to also think about what we as a staff team can do, what you as a community can do, because we're kind of all in this together. So we're calling it a call for solutions. We really want to narrow down on how we can go from where we are to somewhere higher. And so that will be circulated. Feel free to give your opinion in that. I also want to do, it's a request from me, if you could just fill in. We have a lot of staff members who really do work their tail off. So we have a little segment in there just to give feedback on our staff. Talk about a staff member who you feel really has exemplified what it means to be a quality role player here in Ranch, and someone that has really had an impact on your time here. So if you could do that, that would be fantastic. And then we will, as a management team and a staff team, compile that information, and we will present it back to you, and we'll open the discussion and go back to the roots where we are all in this together and we're all driving the direction forward and building the roadmap.
And don't hold back on it as well, because one of the feedbacks is kind of like the main thing that me and Charlie primarily focus on is community engagement. So do not hold back. Like, just if there is something that genuinely pisses you off, write it in there. If there is something that generally upsets you, write it in there. If there's something that really works but you think it could do better, chuck it in there. Because at the end of the day, and I said this the other day in the general chat, and I'll echo this now across the board, is there's 2 things that we truly believe that things need changing, and one is our community engagement. We think our community engagement kind of blows at the moment, and that's one of the things that the podcast and the anniversary has really shown us. Like, the amount of engagement we get from you guys, even if it's just a simple message, is insane. Like, it makes a huge difference to us, our community engaging with us, so it's only fair for us to send it back. And then the other one is, obviously, we're very aware of the kind of staff issues and stuff like that what we really want to address as well. Me and Charlie have got, I think, is it 19 points it's now, Charlie? We've got like a 19-point thing that we want to change in staff. A lot of different things, a lot of changes, a lot of updates. That's going to kind of ease up a little bit, because we understand that things are a bit more involved. People are too dictatory. There are certain areas that we really don't like. I mean, me and Charlie yarn every day about certain areas, or this doesn't look right, let's fix it. So you're going to see a huge amount of changes across the board up top as well. And that's where, again, community engagement comes in. We need to know what you guys think is wrong. We need to know what you guys think is right. You know, if one, I know it's going to sound bad, but I'm not saying point people out, but if something has, you know, been incorrectly handled, or if you think that something is incorrectly, you know, could be done differently, then tell us, teach us. Let's see what you guys think we could do better.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, one of the things that Oaks and I really want to move forward with is the fact that we want the stories to really kind of take precedence. And right now we're at a time where we feel that it's not about the stories. It's kind of there's so many tickets, there's so many complaints, there's so much tension, there's so much burnout. And so we want to kind of pause for a moment, pivot, and start really addressing the root of that problem. And we can only do that starting with communication. We have to define the problem, and we need you to do that. So really give us your feedback. But I am going to ask, give us a solution to the feedback, not just you guys suck and we can't stand you. We want, what's your solution? I mean, come to us with your idea of how we can make things better. Please. Thank you.
Yeah, and I drive that home just on the last statement from myself as well, is don't be afraid to hold back. Just tell us how it is, because the only way we move forward is by taking on board feedback and moving forward.
So that will be circulating in the announcements tonight. And then, like I said, we're targeting the first Saturday in October to do a community meeting, probably around the same time. And where we'll be able to kind of bring this information back to you, and we'll make it actionable. That's all I have.
Hell yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Well, that's all we got.
That's
To the
all we
point.
got.
That's all we got. You guys got anything you want to add?
I would like to thank everyone that kind of made this possible. This has been a week. There's been a lot of people that have been pitching in for this. And so I really want to thank our two hosts here who have been absolutely incredible and crucial to this, as well as all of the sub-teams that went into preparing this, the graphics team, making this pretty little background that you are going to see because this podcast is going to continue. They really did a fantastic job. We had the content team put together a little video, so this really was a community aspect to it. So thank you so much. I am very appreciative of it.
Well done.
All right. Cool.
Thank
Anyone
you
else?
for your time.
Hell yeah,
if
it
you-
is.
If you go
Thank
in game
you.
and do /anniversary, you get $5,000.
Oh, sponsored by
Huh?
Gambino.
You have to do a caps lock. otherwise
You're
it don't
giving
work.
me and Grady a heart attack.
Goddamn Gambino. All right. Well, if
That's a
nothing
lot
else,
of potatoes.
we just want to wrap this up here and say thank you, everybody. Thank you for all the management for coming in here and willing to spend all this time with us. Want to thank, especially, I want to give a huge shout out to Douglas. I know a lot of people in the chat were I'm Douglas's #1 fan. No, I'm Douglas's #1 fan because he made this possible. Trust me, he's the one that have done 99% of this entire, like, the how it worked out. Listen, I might be a guy that talks a lot, but Douglas made this happen. Trust me, he made this happen. So big shout out to Douglas.
I just hold the leash. That's all.
Yeah, thank you to everybody for showing up, and hopefully we'll see you on the next podcast. It's gonna be at least 2 weeks away because Douglas is gonna be away until at least the 1st of October, I believe. And watch the next podcast and help us get open up for the transparency on the server, and yeah, go and please fill out the form. And as I just want to reiterate what Oak said, don't hold back. Go be Go be mean if you need to. Give us your honest opinion. You know, don't hold back. And with that, I'll leave it back to you guys. We'll put the raid on right now. We all agreed on we're gonna host someone from Ranch Roleplay. So yeah,
Go show them
Anyone-
love. We love the streamers.
yeah. They are the first people in the front line when people go, I wonder what type of RP they have on Ranch Roleplay. They go on Twitch.tv and they go Ranch Roleplay, and they look at our streamers and they get the idea from their stream. So we are going to host one of the people on our. We have already sent it out to Slanda Panda. I'm sorry. We're already sending it out to Slanda Panda. It's one of our part of the content creation team member. So I know you guys are saying pesky. I'm sorry. But we got about 30 seconds now before it auto rage. Shelly, Dip, Leo, Oaks, Golden.
Happy birthday, Ranch.
Happy
17
birthday.
more years until you can drink a beer.
Yeah, depends where you are.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Much love.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Sing the song. Is that one of Pete's song?
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to
Speed the
you.
time up quick.
Yeah. Happy
birthday to you,
birthday, dear
Speed it up.
Ranch. Happy
See ya.
birthday to you. See you guys. See ya. Thank you. Thank you for tonight.
Catch me if
Bye.
you can.
Hey.
That was good.
Oh yeah,
That
we're
was
still
good
here.
shit.
What the?
That was good.
Good shit, brother.
Did you have fun?
You did incredibly well.
Boy,
With
I've been so nervous.
keeping with that thing. Yeah, no, you did really well. Even the ones that you were like, nah, like if he don't go back to this one, I'm gonna have to beat his ass.
Yeah.
Still-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Some of them
I
I
was like-
I gotta go back here.
How there was a few times where I was like, and then you said, speaking of, and then okay, I'm sitting back down.
Kept
You got
laughing
it
at all the
covered.
comments about Oaks's arms. Did you see that? Because they thought